Hello. Today, you're going to have to pardon my voice a little bit. I'm still sick, and I just wanted to make sure I made this movie for you so you could understand how you're supposed to do Cornell notes on the computer. So you should use this video today while you're in class, but you should also use it and reference back to it as we go throughout the next month and you're conducting your research. Now, on the first screen right here, you have my note-taking guide. You should have gotten this packet, it's two pages stapled, today at the beginning of class, and I believe it's yellow this year, but it could be any other colored piece of paper. And so this is really a review of what we learned with Miss Vandy in the Media Center. So if you remember, she had her abbreviations, ABCLO, kind of like her acronym. And first, A stands for abbreviation, so shortened and frequent words. Think about text talk. And here are some examples of different words that you can see abbreviated. You're going to see because abbreviation B/C used a lot in my notes. So remember abbreviations, bullets, so you're organizing your information by using bullets. So here's kind of an example. If you want to do this and you lose your bullets, if you come up here, here is the bullet option. If you click on the little arrow, you get a bunch of different options. Or if you want to do numbers or an outline, which I'll be showing you after we get back from spring break. If you want to do numbers, you can click on the numbers box and it can give you different options. So bullets. Next, we want to be using our caveman language. So remember, using as few words as possible. We're getting rid of those unimportant words, no complete sentences. And here's an example that you can look at in your spare time. And then we have list. So listing dates, names, causes, effects, using bullets and numbers. It kind of goes along with bullets. And you're going to see that those two grouped together in the rubric. But here's an example with Amelia Earhart, and the reading that we were reading in the Media Center, and special dates and dashes, and it tells you what happened on those dates. And last but not least, you need to make sure that it is in your own words. You are paraphrasing the information that you see in the text. You're writing it in your own words. You're not plagiarizing. You are not using any non-tier 3 words that you don't know or don't normally use. You shouldn't really run into this problem, but if you're reading something that's on a higher level and you don't understand what you're reading, do not start taking notes on it. You need to find something that's more on your level, or you need to look up those words and put them into, paraphrase them and put them into words you understand. You can use a direct quote in your text. If you're going to use a direct quote, I want you to come see me. But basically, you're going to put the text you're going to write exactly what's written in the text, and then you're going to put quotation marks around it and the page number where it comes from in the article. And I'll explain that more later in a second video. So let's keep scrolling down. So this is my teacher example of my Cornell notes. This is the note capturing system that we are going to use in this class for the next month. So up top, this is your bibliography information. So this is the whole bibliography section, okay? And then as you come down here, here is your actual notes section, everything that I have highlighted here. These are your notes that you're taking out of the text, okay? Then you have, this is kind of like your thinking section. So for example, inferences, definitions of words, maybe you have to look up because you don't know, questions, and also you could be writing connections in here. I just don't have any on this example, but you could be. So here's our higher level thinking questions. Then the last section of the Cornell notes is this summary section. So the summary section is where you're going to summarize the main points of your notes. That's up here above in this notes section up here. So all this. Up in this notes section, you're going to summarize the main points down here. Notice I don't have any evidence or statistics or any of that down here. It's just a summary of what I wrote. It's a brief explanation of what's above. And the reason why we do this is because if we can't summarize what we wrote above, then that means we don't fully comprehend or understand what we wrote above. So this section is still extremely important, and I'll model this to you how to do this. Now, real quick, Miss Vandy did talk about creating a web or another type of graphic organizer when you're doing your notes. Up here, I use mainly bullets and a list format. if you don't want to do that and you need to create a web, I give you directions right here. So essentially you would click in the notes section, you come up here to insert, and you would do drawing. We've done this many times before, so make sure you hit save and close after. So let's say let's say I just insert it here. Insert, drawing. I can make my drawing by doing text boxes and typing in it, or doing lines from one box to the next, right? So let's say that I did this and it's a whole big web. I would hit save and close. If you don't hit that save and close, then it's not going to be there in your document. So we're just going to delete it because we don't need it. And the last thing in your packet is this Cornell note-taking rubric. So your first section is abbreviations, caveman language, and paraphrasing. So this is box number 3 has the highest amount. Box number 2 is the second amount of information, and box number 1 is the last. So in number 3, we're talking about using abbreviations, paraphrasing all of the information. And note right here, nothing is copied directly out of the text. That's plagiarism. Over here, it says some information is in complete sentences or certain parts are copied out of the text. You're going to lose points. And then this is if you don't use any paraphrasing and you just copy directly out of the text. So that's kind of combining up here in our rubric abbreviations and caveman language and in our own words. So all 3 of those things are kind of combined in this rubric. Now you have organization. So I'm looking for lists, I'm looking for bullets, subheadings, webs. Information is clearly organized. This is some of the information is not. You kind of use some subheadings or you use a web, but the web organization doesn't really make sense. And then last is this organizational structure. Let's say you don't use anything. Let's say you just type up a whole paragraph or you just start writing, right? Those are not notes. Bibliography information. So this is all the bibliography information at the top of the template is completed. So if we scroll back up to our Cornell notes, it means all of this. Now let's say you don't have a piece of information like I don't right here. You can just write NA, non-applicable. But all of this should be filled out. At the very least, if you don't put the URL or the link in here, you're not going to be able to go back and find the article later. So that's extremely important. The summary section, so student summarizes the main points of the text in their own words with few spelling or grammatical mistakes. Basically, the difference between a 3 and a 2 here is a 3 is I can clearly understand everything you're writing, and a 2 is, I may not understand it. There may be issues with your grammar. And a 1 is basically you didn't do it or it's not in your own words. And lastly, this My Thinking section. So you use a variety of strategies here to track your thinking, including inferencing, definitions, asking questions, and making connections. Now notice it says uses a variety of strategies, meaning you're not just asking all questions or making all connections or writing all definitions. You need to have at least 2 or 3 of these in that section. I'm going to remind you where this is again. So this is this column over here where it says questions, key points, my thoughts. So inferencing, definitions, here's questions, and once again I could have added connections. So you only use 1 or 2 higher level thinking strategies, or you don't attempt anything. Let's say you do nothing. Okay, and it's a total of 15 points. So this is the same amount of points that we've been using on annotating our articles, but this quarter we're just switching into making sure that we can pull information out of a text when it's online, necessarily when we can't annotate it online. Think about it this way, it's almost another form of annotating. A lot of these skills are the same things that you used when you were annotating, like asking questions, making connections, organizing the information or your comments. Remember, you highlighted different colors, and you paraphrased. You summarized a lot of stuff, and you were putting things into your own words. Alright, so this concludes video number 1 of my explanation of your note-taking guide. Please go and start watching and listening video number 2, which is Cornell Notes.